Hey guys, welcome back to the Whimsical Workshop. In this video, I'm going to use the little mini Fit to Be Geese ruler from Open Gate that I got in a subscription box. You can check out that unboxing video. I'll link it at the end and below in the descriptions. But they sent out this little mini Fit to Be Geese ruler, so I thought I would give it a try and see how it is. One of the other things they sent in the box was the Omni Invisagrip film to go on the back of the ruler to keep it from sliding. Two things I haven't tried before, so let's get into it and try it today. Yay! So in the July Open Gate subscription box, we got this little ruler, a piece of Omni Invisagrip, and this adorable little pattern for this mini Fit to Be Geese project. So what I thought I would do is, I don't know if I'll do the whole project, but I am going to demo the ruler, which there is a look at what it looks like, and see how easy is this to figure out and use. First up, let's figure out Omni Invisagrip. So this says unroll the Invisa-grip, which they've cut a piece, so I don't need to do that. Position the ruler over the Invisa-grip and rotary cut approximately 1/4 inch smaller than the size of your ruler. And she says these are the directions, and then she said done and done. So let's see here. I love trying new tools, so let's see how this one works. Alright, so there's the Invisa-grip. It is a little bit smaller than my ruler. It's not 1/4 inch, but it's a little bit smaller. I assume that's fine. Peel off the paper backing and apply the Invisa-grip to the underside of your ruler, pressing out any wrinkles as you go. So this is the underside of my ruler. It's just like a cling material here. And I'm just going to start at one end. I know it's invisible, so you can't see it, but trust me, I'm doing it. There we go. So I'm just going to start at one end and slide it on. My piece was a little bent, so let's see if it'll stick even though it's bent. If I work it, it's there. It's going to stick. There we go. Alright, so I don't know. There you go. You can kind of see that texture change, that bubbly texture. That's the film. And yeah, I mean, this side has the grip. You can see I can't move it. This side does not, and you can see I can move it. So that does work. It's just like this funky cling vinyl that goes on the back of the ruler. You can still see all your lines. So Omni Invisagrip, thumbs up. That works great. Alright, let's get rid of those. Now, let's see what we need to do. So to make this little quilt, we need 3 1/8 yards of dark 1 and 3 1/8 yard pieces of dark number 2. 1/2 yard of background fabric, which I have right here, 1/4 yard of binding, 2/3 yard of backing, and the mini Fit to Be Geese ruler. So we've got everything there. So for my fabrics, I think what I'm going to do, let's see, how do those even look on there? Let me go see what I can find for fabric, and I will be back, because I'm not sure those are going to work. Alright, so I've gone into my stash and I found these fun prints, and I'm going to make these dark number 1s and these dark number 2s. And basically what I did is I picked tonal fabrics that were cools and warms, and we're going to see how that all plays out when we start putting this guy together. And then this is my background. I thought it'd be fun to just have a nice soft gray for the background. So first thing I need to do, it looks like, is cut all of my pieces. The first cut is 3 1/2 inch squares across the diagonal twice. That's important. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll get everything cut according to the list, and then we'll be back to try this tool and see how it works. So let me get it cut. Alright, so I have everything cut according to the pattern, and I am ready to start assembling this little adorable quilt. It is only 18 inches by 18 inches, but there are lots and lots of seams in that little guy. So let's see how it goes. So the first thing they say to do is to sew one of these onto one of these. Now, looking at her picture, I believe we're going to align this bottom corner and just sew right across. and then repeat on the other side. So when I have to do a ton of pieces like this, what I do is I look at how I'm laying them out. It looks like I'm going to be laying them out this way, and I have a bunch of random colors. So I'm going to start here and go pick one up from each pile, aligning the top, and just keep on going. And then once I get them all aligned, I'm going to go sew them out. Now, alright, so we got these all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and sew them. And like I said, I'm going to set up the steps so that I can show you, well, so I can figure out how to use this and then show you how to use it. So let's get sewing. So I have been making flying geese out of the mini Fit to Be Geese ruler to use to make this little quilt. And here is where we're at. So I showed you how to sew the one side on. To sew the other side on, again, you would align here's the color triangle. You're going to use the right angle and align the one arm of the right angle against the long part of the triangle. So it looks straight, and the angles are out here and they're matching. And you would go ahead and sew a 1/4 inch seam from here to here, which is what we've done with this one. And now to use the ruler, I've cut all of these flying geese to see how this ruler works. And so I'm going to go ahead and trim my last few here with you guys and talk a little bit about this ruler. This ruler, there's lots of flying geese rulers out there. I've done a couple demos on rulers for flying geese. This one I haven't used before, but if you want to make accurate flying geese that are tiny, like these are 1.5 by 2.5, it is a good ruler. It works very well. It gives you 4 different size variations. So while I'm trimming these up, I'm going to talk about what I found with the ruler, pros and cons. So first, let me talk about how you use it. There is see if I can do it without the glare. There we go. You see the triangle. That is the point that you're going to align with the point of your piece. So that black line is on the inside of this light triangle. It lines up with the seam, and you go ahead and you square off the top. Then I'm going to turn it around to the bottom, and you're going to use the 1.5 by 2.5 inch horizontal line. So let me show you here again. So there's the 1.5 by 2.5 inch line right there, but I'm also using the center line through the center of my flying goose to make sure that I have it positioned correctly. I don't know if that matters at this point, but I was doing it just to make sure. And so I've done the top and the bottom. And then you do the sides. Now, this is where I get a little hung up because the ruler doesn't really, it has a mark for the rectangle. Oops. Did I drop it? You see these red lines on here. There we go. So you see the red lines on here. Those are the flying goose sideways. It gives you a guide. But what I'm struggling with is I know this center line, it doesn't really align with anything. And I found like the 1.25 by 2 line, if you put that in the center of your flying goose right there, that does seem to work. So I'm not sure if that is what I'm supposed to do. But after cutting so many of these, that's really a guide I can use. And then we have that line. Or the other thing I found, let me just go ahead and square that end up, is if you just take the red rectangle and you put it right where the blue and the gray meet, which again drops that line right through the center, that seems to also be doing it. So That would be my only thing, is I would like a little more clarity at this point as to what I'm lining up where. But those two little tricks seem to have worked, and I figured it out, so I would assume, you know, most people are going to get this and figure it out. I am using a Martelli turntable. These are awesome because I can cut more than one at a time. So what I was doing is I was laying these up and just making sure I cut all four sides by cutting all the tops at once. And then the bottoms. So, you know, as I'm doing this, I would say it does what it is supposed to do. It is a cute little flying geese ruler. We all know flying geese, the smaller you get, the more challenging they can be to make them accurate. So we can certainly take all the help we can get. So I would say if you're one of those people who like using making small blocks, and you like using flying geese, this is a good ruler to have. I'm really glad I got it in the little subscription box, and I am sure I would pull this out and use it again. The other drawback to this, and this is not ruler specific, it is a challenge whenever you're using a ruler and making things bigger, is that you have to trim everything up, and that can be kind of time consuming. So, but that's the same whether it's a Creative Grids ruler or this ruler. It's like anytime you make your blocks bigger and then square them up, it takes time to do that. Where I'm kind of a quick and dirty, I would cut everything to accurate size and just use the sew and flip method. But I'm glad I got to try this ruler. It is really, really a cool thing to have gotten in a subscription box. I like that I got to use my own fabric with it, even though there are two adorable kits in that subscription box. You can certainly go check out my unboxing video for this one. I will link that below as well. So as I'm trimming up these flying geese, I've got my last two here. I am going to go ahead and start assembling this adorable little quilt pattern that they gave us with the ruler. I think it's really cool that if you're going to do a custom ruler like this, that you know, give me a little project to test it out on. If you take away the trim time, this went together very, very quickly, but trimming, I mean, this is obviously the most time-consuming part, is trimming all these guys up. And again, that is what happens when you make things bigger and you need to trim them smaller. So it's a trade-off. Do you want to spend time doing that, or do you want and have perfect, accurate blocks, or do you want to go fast and dirty and you may not be perfect and accurate? And I also want to comment on the Omni, I think it was Omni grid film that they gave me that I should put on in the beginning of the video. Works perfect. Ruler did not slide. It worked really well. So with all of that, that is the demo for the mini Fit to Be Geese ruler. So now that we've got all of our flying geese put together, we have all these lovely, yummy colors. I went with all primary colors, cools and warms. I'm going to go ahead and start putting this little guy together, and I will show you what it looks like at the end. There it is. We've got our little mini Fit to Be Geese quilt top done. It's actually 18 by 18, so I may turn this into a pillow instead of a quilt, because God knows I have enough quilts around here. But how adorable is that? So the whole thing was done with the mini Fit to Be Geese ruler. It was super fun, very, very easy. It's a great way to do small flying geese, so I would give this a 90 out of 100 rating at a ruler. I wish it had a little more instruction on how to cut the vertical, but again, it was kind of intuitive. I did figure that part out. So now that I have my little mini quilt done, following the directions in the free pattern that came with the mini Fit to Be Geese ruler, I wanted to turn this into a pillow, because like I said, I have so many quilts, I don't need another quilt, but I thought this would be an adorable little pillow. So let me quickly walk you through the steps of taking a shape and turning it into a pillow cover using an envelope flap back, which is what we've got here. So to figure out what size to make your envelope back panels, you take your finished size, which would be 18 inches, divide it by 2, which gives me 9 inches, and then add 3 inches. And I add 3 inches for most standard pillows. If it's bigger, you may need it bigger. If it's really small, you're going to want to make it smaller. But on average, 3 inches makes it work for me. So again, 18 divided by 2 is 9, plus 3 gets me 12. So to cut my 2 panels, I've cut a 12-inch piece of fabric here that I'm then going to cut to measure 18 and a half. Get rid of the junk on the one end. Then I just use my ruler lengthwise. I align the bottom and the 18 and a half on this side. And we're just going to cut this up. Now that I have my 2 panels that are 12 by 18 and a half, and 18 and a half again is the height of my little quilt top there. What I'm going to do is take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to hem the 18 and a half inch edge on both panels just on one side. And to do that, you can take it to the ironing board and press over 1/4 of an inch and then roll it a second 1/4 of an inch. Or you can just take it over to the sewing machine like I'm going to do, and I'm just going to turn and sew it. So let me get these 2 sewn, and then I'm going to show you how you put your pillow top together. Alright, so I've now sewn the rolled hem. I rolled it 1/4 of an inch and then another 1/4 of an inch, and I top stitched it down using a 1/4 inch seam. So now I have 2 panels that will become my pillow back. Okay, so now that you have your 2 panels sewn, we're going to use this as the example to put it together. Even though I've already sewn it back on here, we're just going to pretend it does not have its back. So come along on imagination land here. Alright, so we've got our pillow front. We've got 1 panel that we're going to lay on here, and you can decide, like on this pillow, the opening is vertical. You can also do it horizontal. It does not matter. So here we go. We're going to put this on, put the first panel on. We're going to align the raw edges that we did not sew with the top and the side of the pillow, and the folded finished edge goes in the middle. That is the only important rule here. And then you're going to overlap the other one right on top. And then you can use pins or wonder clips or whatever, and you clip it. And you clip these 2 layers together. They should overlap. That is the whole point of it. And then once you get this clipped all the way around, so you just clip it all the way around, take it over to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around to attach your pillow back to your pillow front. So once you've sewn this all the way around with the 1/4 inch seam, as you can see there, you go through your opening, your pillow back opening, and you just turn your pillow right side out. You can just slide in your pillow form, which unfortunately I do not have an 18-inch pillow form in the studio at the moment. There. Now that you've turned it right side out, you would just insert your pillow form in here, and it would overlap and you wouldn't see the form popping out. Now, a tip I got early in my design career was, if you want your pillows to look very full and very plump, always make things a 1/2 inch smaller than your pillow form. I don't tend to do that because I'm going off of like very tight measurements, but if you do find that your pillows are kind of floppy and your pillowcases are a little bit loose, you could make the pillowcase a little bit smaller than the actual form, and you'd get this tight, plump pillow. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on how to use the Open Gate Mini Fit to Be Geese ruler. Enjoyed looking at the free pattern that comes with the ruler and the quick tips on how to turn it into a throw pillow. So if you have, make sure you leave me some comments below and let me know what you think. Also, if there's other rulers you'd like me to try, include those in the comments. And as always, I thank you for watching and see you next time.